obviously some dramatic changes happened over this summer with the cost of fuel going up. Is that what's going to drive conservation in the future? And Eric, I don't know if you have something to say about that.
I think that's a real simple way that we can also look at it and go, we look at the $4 or something a gallon. And yet we don't go look at the bottled water that we buy and put a gallon together and go, oh, that bottled water actually costs more than gas does. And water is also an issue in the same as part of the whole system as well. But I think the suggestions here that when you actually start looking at as a system, and clearly price is a significant part that helps motivate us to do lots of things. And conservation and in the U.S. mindset, the creativity to go solve things, to come up with new ways of doing it, to make more out of batteries. The wind things are absolutely extraordinary. In lots of places it could be huge, but we don't have the grid resources to go through there. And doing things where you put the grid where you're looking at how much solar can I get, how much geothermal can I get, how much wind can I get. Here in Southern California, those could be dramatic things where you add them together, very much like a business plan that somebody would have. And I think with the price of gas going up, one thing that you really could look at that as, that's a very positive thing, because it drives a whole bunch of the creativity of the alternative energy, the ways that people look at it and going, there's got to be a solution to this. And I think that's actually one aspect that government could profoundly help in, where they don't know the answer. And none of us actually believe that somebody from Washington is going to tell us the answer. Because if you live in Washington, you realize the immensity of trying to solve everybody's problems. You can't do that. The government isn't the... I mean, during Hurricane Katrina, there's a saying that came out of it that said, "Citizen, save thyself." And that was for an event that was this is for a slower event. But that really can be something that you can look at, and that puts the responsibility back, instead of us saying, oh, you fix it in Washington, is saying, why don't we fix it? And that's then, and part of fixing it is cooperating with the people in Washington, being some of the people that work the best with them. But it's really a shared responsibility, and it's not either Senator Obama or Senator McCain's. It's really not their problem. It's really our problem. And we actually need to take ownership of the fact that we have to come up with solutions, and we need to help either one of them, because neither one of them can fix it themselves.
And I think, unfortunately, it sounds like we could go on for days, because there's so much to talk about in terms of energy, but we kind of have to draw to a close with our time constraints. So is there any last words that you gentlemen would like to leave with our listeners? And we'll start with you, Al.
Well, I'll reiterate a little what I said before, that and it builds a little on what Eric was saying. It's true that each individual has some responsibility, but an individual cannot deal with the energy system. This is a societal, incredibly complex, where government leadership is definitely needed. A plan is needed of some sort, which has grown out of a consensus. And in my view, what that plan could consist of is accurate pricing, so that what we pay for energy really reflects the true costs, including the environmental and security costs. That will send a proper signal to people how they should be using it, and that will result in presumably looking at this as a valuable resource. We don't even consider energy. You haven't a clue how much you pay when you turn the lights on. But the broader costs are enormous. We know when we put gas in. So accurate pricing is very, very important, and that does require governmental leadership. The second thing is to recognize, as was mentioned, that we need to begin a process of changing the way we organize ourselves with respect to energy. And ultimately that would lead to energy systems, regardless of what particular technology one is choosing, which are the most efficient and which provide the greatest service. And that will be a very long time. But we have to start at some point. And I'll just use again the example of San Diego. We did a very comprehensive study here at San Diego State University with others that show we have enormous potential in this region for geothermal energy in the Imperial Valley, solar energy, wind energy. And the only way it'll be developed if the costs are right and if there's a will to do that. And that starts a long transition. So we have to be in this for the long term.